The Clone Wars packs it in for the summer, and more video game news than the law allows. It's Friday, April 8th, and you'll hear about those stories and more this week in Star Wars. This Week in Star Wars is your source for new and noteworthy developments from the galaxy far, far away. I'm your host, Matt Fox. And now, this week's lead story. Last Friday not only saw the de rigueur number of Star Wars April Fool's jokes online, it also saw the airing of the one-hour season finale for Season 3 of The Clone Wars. Focusing almost exclusively on Ahsoka and featuring little, if any, of other regular characters, the highlight of the episode is no doubt the inclusion of original trilogy favorite Chewbacca. Following the episode, the Cartoon Network aired a short preview of Episode 4 of The Clone Wars, which gave away no plot devices, but would indicate, not surprisingly, that much of the season is already in the proverbial can. That trailer, as well as an additional trailer, are available for viewing on StarWars.com. Many fans seem to have viewed Season 3 as an uneven season with a number of peaks and valleys. Highlights no doubt include, in addition to the season finale, the Savage Opress Night Sisters story arc, which began the second half of the season, as well as the Citadel trilogy. Despite the availability of Season 4 teaser trailers, no word yet on when the fourth season will begin. However, Season 3's finale aired one day after the Major League Baseball season began, and Season 4 will no doubt premiere sometime during the playoffs, which for you sports-impaired listeners is October. In collecting news this week, HasbroToyShop.com is running a spring sale, which will net purchasers 20% off their entire order. This sale may be doubly useful and timely, as Hasbro Toy Shop is one of the few retailers that seems to be getting a steady supply of Waves 4, 5, and 6 of the vintage Star Wars collection. Numerous anecdotal reports from across the web indicate that these figures, especially Wave 4, the Attack of the Clones wave, are extremely hard to find and shipping irregularly, occasionally popping up at Walmart or Targets across the country. While the mixed-theme Wave 5 seems to be a bit more available as of late, Wave 6 also seems to be proving quite elusive. While the first half of 2010 was very frustrating for collectors given the lack of product from Hasbro, 2011 seems to be a whole different kind of torture, as ample new product does seem to be shipping, although no one seems to find it. That said, details of the Hasbro Toy Shop promotion are available at HasbroToyShop.com. Good hunting. Collectors of the Clone Wars line of figures are having a slightly better go of it than vintage collection collectors. However, there also seems to be something of a supply problem with that line. But to add salt to the wound, JediTempleArchives.com this week published a list of rumored/upcoming confirmed figures from the Clone Wars line. This list consists primarily of new clones and new droids, but also includes such flesh-and-blood non-cloned characters such as Captain Tarkin and Evan Peel. According to the site, these figures, numbered Clone Wars 60 through 69, will follow the previously rumored and still on the books wave, which will include Savage Opress, Saesee Tiin, as well as new sculpts for Plo Koon and Kit Fisto. Gentle Giant, purveyor of mini busts and statues, sent an email out last week to its Premier Guild members indicating the new Premier Guild exclusives for 2011. More specifically, they revealed the first of 3 Premier Guild exclusives, which will be available over the coming year. The first bust to be revealed is a Darth Maul bust, featuring the Episode 1 Sith Lord in his not at all overused, shirtless training incarnation. The other 2 busts available to Premier Guild members will be revealed in coming weeks. However, silhouettes were provided as a tease in last week's email. While one of them clearly appears to my eyes to be a Spider-Man bust, which is consistent with Gentle Giant's recent acquisition of the Marvel license, The other bust appears to be a Star Wars product, most likely something like a biker or Kashyyyk scout trooper. Some may wonder why an Episode 1 themed bust is not being held until 2012 to coincide with the re-release of that film in 3D, but they can rest assured that Gentle Giant's track record would indicate that these busts will be coming out almost simultaneously with that film. Full details of the Premier Guild membership plan are available at Gentle Giant's website, gentlegiantltd.com.
This book is devastating.
This week's publishing news. A number of new Star Wars titles have recently appeared in comic and bookshops. These include Dark Horse's Darth Vader and the Lost Command number 3, as well as Legacy War number 4. The long-awaited and almost equally long-delayed Star Wars massively multiplayer online game, The Old Republic, already has 2 full-length hardcover novels to its credit. The second, The Old Republic Deceived, is recently published and now available in retailers across the country and online. Lastly, for you creative types, the Star Wars Craft Book by Bonnie Burton was also published last week to rave reviews, and should also be equally easy to find. No longer available in bookstores will be the X-Wing Rogue Squadron series. This, according to the series author Michael Stackpole, as reported on BigShinyRobot.com. The series is something of a fan favorite from the relative early years of the EU, and we can only hope that they will see the light of day again in another format. Joining Rogue Squadron and my childhood dog on that farm are the Star Wars forums. While it's not exactly publishing news, it's not exactly anything else news either, but StarWars.com announced this week that the official Star Wars fan forums will be closing down permanently on April 29th. Having premiered in October of 2001, the forums are not quite 10 years old, but provided Star Wars fans a central location to discuss their favorite films. According to the release, fans will now be expected to perform those duties on the Star Wars Facebook page or on the StarWars.com Twitter feed. Details are available, of course, at StarWars.com. Ample video game news this week, so much so that I will gloss over the very favorable reviews that LEGO Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars has been receiving in its first full week of release, but rather focus on games that are not released yet. Anthony Daniels, the man in the golden suit, C-3PO himself, has played Star Wars for the Microsoft Xbox Kinect system, or so he claimed in a Twitter post that he later pulled. According to BlastMagazine.com, the post in question in its 144-character glory read as follows: I have played Star Wars Kinect. You haven't. You can't wait. I can say nothing more. Attentive listeners to This Week in Star Wars will recall that the Kinect Star Wars title was debuted at last year's E3 video games convention, but since then, very little has been released about the title, despite something of a floating release date on Amazon.com. The game allows players to assume the role of a Jedi, and then uses the Kinect feature set to follow the player's movements without aid of a controller. We'll bring you more information about this title as it becomes available, or when Mr. Daniels decides to tweet about it again. Game designer Tim Longo, who was the creative director behind the Tomb Raider franchise, and was also employed by LucasArts for such titles as Starfighter, Jedi Starfighter, and a creative director on Star Wars Republic Commando, has returned to LucasArts. This according to numerous game sites, including GameSutra.com. No word yet on what titles he may be working on and whether they're even Star Wars titles. However, more details will no doubt become available in the near future. In the non-story story of the week, it was reported that all Star Wars THQ titles for iDevices would be pulled by the end of the week due to the expiration of the contract between LucasArts and THQ. THQ is responsible for publishing nearly all of the official Star Wars titles that are available for mobile gaming devices, including such popular titles as Star Wars Trench Run and Star Wars Battle for Hoth. Removal from the App Store would have caused the titles to no longer be available for sale to new purchasers, while those who had already purchased the titles would be unaffected by this change. Within a day of confirming the imminent unavailability of the titles, THQ informed gaming website Kotaku.com that they had gained an extension of their contract with LucasArts and that the games would not in fact be pulled. Although no information was provided on how long the extension will last, nor was there any official word from Lucasfilm. Clone Wars Season 3 is over, and one has to wonder what it's going to be remembered for. You may be forgiven if you've forgotten that the subtitle catchphrase for Season 3 was "Secrets Revealed." For the life of me, I can't think of any secrets that were revealed during the season, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Multi-episode story arcs were the rule of the day, and I have to say that that's a good thing. It allows better story development and more involvement of the characters. The centerpiece of Season 3 has to be, based on the preseason hype for Celebration 5 and the release of the episodes as a special limited one-off movie, the Savage Opress story arc. Now, I enjoyed it in the theaters, and I thought the story was very good. However, based upon the build-up that we had for that character, the fact that he walked off and wasn't seen again for the rest of the season is somewhat disappointing and possibly a bit perplexing. Maybe we just have to wait for Season 4. More secrets revealed. We're not bluffing this time. Want more Season 3 Clone Wars talk? You got it. A special edition of This Week in Star Wars will be coming up soon. We're going to assemble an illustrious panel to discuss Season 3 and all its school lunch program scandal glory. So keep an eye on your podcast feed over the next couple weeks for a special episode of This Week in Star Wars, in addition to our regular episodes of This Week in Star Wars. To mark the occasion, we're having another giveaway. To enter, please go to iTunes, write a preferably favorable review of the podcast, and then send an email to host@thisweekinstarwars.com telling me that you've done so and that you won in the contest. If you've already left feedback, thank you, and you may enter simply by sending me that email. I will randomly select one winner from the emails that I receive, and that lucky listener will get a Savage Opress Clone Wars t-shirt, the same Savage Opress t-shirt that was given away at the Clone Wars charity screening last December. The winner will be announced on the Clone Wars Roundtable episode, so you have until that episode airs to enter the contest. And that was This Week in Star Wars. Join us again next week for more news, notes, and developments from the galaxy far, far away. Visit www.thisweekinstarwars.com or www.twisw.com for links to old episodes, news about the show, as well as links to some of the stories we discussed in today's program. You can follow us on our breaking news Twitter feed, TWISWcast, and we welcome comments on our Facebook page. We also welcome news suggestions, questions, and comments via email at host@thisweekinstarwars.com. Help us grow the community. If you enjoyed This Week in Star Wars, please go to iTunes and leave a positive review of the podcast. You've been listening to This Week in Star Wars. We troll the web so you don't have to.
This Week in Star Wars is not affiliated with Lucasfilm, its subsidiaries, or any other entity mentioned in this podcast. Star Wars, its characters, and creations are the property of Lucasfilm. All other trademarks are property of their respective trademark owners. This Week in Star Wars is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. This podcast is copyright 2010 This Week in Star Wars. Invaluable technical assistance provided by WebStorm Interactive. News, comments, and questions can be directed to host@thisweekinstarwars.com. More information, links to stories presented, past episodes, and additional contact information are available at www.thisweekinstarwars.com.